स्नेहाय दानाय च रक्षणाय।
The sower set out for sowing seed. The seeds he sowed fell on the fertile land. They sprouted out to become leaves, plants, blooms and blossoms, and gave a good harvest of 100-fold. In order to give good harvest till the end of time, he transplanted his own heart in the field, and from there started oozing blood and water. The field got served too well. Plenty of seeds started sprouting out again and again. It grew and made him happy by producing 100-fold results. Because the sower's heart was the Sacred Heart, and the sower was Jesus himself. Those who kept him close to their heart became the sons and daughters of God. They were the one who kept God's heart within one's own heart. The name of one among them was Mattai Kadalikatil. The story of a man who lived with the Sacred Heart in his heart and passed away, leaving his own heart in the Sacred Heart. The history of Venerable Father Mattai Kadalikatil. Father Mattai is a divine star who has become one of many thousands of births in the infinite expanses of humanity. Although the paths he traveled were unusual, he wanted himself to be counted among the common people. The holy path he followed was simple but fervent, and it became a helping hand to the downtrodden. When there prevailed inequality and discrimination, he opened schools for tribal girls. Schools were built to spread the light of literacy to the suppressed girls. Shelters had been set up for children who were thrown into orphanage and for abandoned, homeless, elderly people. Jobs were provided and workshops were set up for the women who had to work hard for the daily bread. He had the artistic heart of a sculptor who carved joyful moments of the blessings of the Sacred Heart that were opened in confessionals and the holy altar. He was a pilgrim on the way of the cross. Father Mattai, who opened and shared his heart of letters, crafts, art, work and security, also envisaged a religious community for those who wished to dedicate themselves to it. It's this community which has spread all over the world today as a Sacred Heart congregation. New mission areas such as hospitals, job training centers, educational institutions, social work centers, counseling centers, and media centers have been found in different areas of life to bring relief and hope to millions of people.
ധന്യൻ കള്ളിക്കാട്ടിൽ മത്തായിയച്ചനാണ് തിരുഹൃദയ സന്യാസിനി സമൂഹത്തിൻ്റെ സ്ഥാപകൻ. തിരുഹൃദയ മഹത്വവും സാധുജന സേവനം ലക്ഷ്യമാക്കിയാണ് ഈ സമൂഹത്തിന് അദ്ദേഹം തുടക്കം കുറിച്ചത്. ജീവിച്ചിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ വളരെ ആഴമുള്ള ആത്മീയത സ്വന്തമാക്കിയ ഒരു ആചാര്യനായിരുന്നു അദ്ദേഹം. അനാഥരുടെയും അഗതികളുടെയും സ്ത്രീജനങ്ങളുടെയും ജീവിത സമഗ്രതയ്ക്ക് വേണ്ടി, ദളിതരുടെയും ആദിവാസികളുടെയും ജീവിത സംസ്ഥാനത്തിന് വേണ്ടി ജീവിതം മാറ്റിവെച്ച ഒരു കർമ്മയോഗിയായിരുന്നു അദ്ദേഹം. ദൈവപ്രതിമകളായ സാധു സഹോദരങ്ങളുടെ മാനസിക ശാരീരിക ആവശ്യങ്ങൾ കണ്ടറിഞ്ഞ് സഹായിക്കുക തിരുഹൃദയ സമൂഹത്തിൻ്റെ മുഖമുദ്രയാകണമെന്ന് അദ്ദേഹം തൻ്റെ മക്കളെ പഠിപ്പിച്ചു തന്നു. അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ പാത പിന്തുടരുവാൻ മക്കളായിരിക്കുന്ന ഞങ്ങൾ ഇന്ന് ശ്രമിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു, അധ്വാനിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. വാഴ്ത്തപ്പെട്ടവരുടെ പട്ടികയിലേക്കും വിശുദ്ധരുടെ ഗണത്തിലേക്കും അത് ഉയർത്തപ്പെടുമെന്ന് ഞങ്ങൾ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നു, പ്രത്യാശിക്കുന്നു, അതിനായി ആഗ്രഹിച്ച് പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുന്നു. അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ പാത പിന്തുടരുവാൻ മക്കൾ എന്നും പ്രതിജ്ഞാബദ്ധരാണ്.
Mattei was born in 18th century that witnessed the existence of certain peculiar life situations which the modern socio-cultural, political and historical lessons cannot comprehend or even grasp. An atmosphere which was totally rural, which exhibited the backwardness of the people, the mud roads filled with stones and thorns, use of methiadi, that is, sandals made of wood, bowed bullock carts for traveling and transportation, could be seen everywhere, coupled with the social discriminations based on caste and creed, which were on its zenith. The social milieu was pathetic, and the condition of women was so deplorable and pitiable that the poor rustic women require village rulers' permission to cover their breast with a piece of cloth to protect their dignity and self-pride. It was an age in which the accursed womanhood was compelled to pay breast tax for covering her breast, and they were leading a life of hard work, whether in the kitchen or within the four walls of the household or in the field, with utter despair and deep sigh in the midst of pains and sufferings. In such a dark age, Matthias was born as the second son of the noble couple Kadalikatil Cherian and Rosa at Edapadi, an interior agricultural village in the district of Kottayam, on 25th April 1872. At that time, the great country called India, a place by name Kerala, and a notion called Malayalakara was totally alien and unknown to everybody. Outside of one's own house, everywhere people experienced the evil effects of landlordism, like slavery, injustice, inequality, exploitation, and poverty, the stark realities of which the people were mere victims. In the midst of this troubled life of hard work and difficulties, Matthias, by walking through the village roads and agricultural fields, while keeping himself away from the notice of everybody, reached the Madbaha, the altar of the Lord. It is history that Matthias was assigned by God to install the Sacred Heart into the thrones of human hearts, to give comforting and healing services to the bleeding and turbulent human minds, sharing consolation and hope to the people who, sweating their blood in the midst of chaos and confusion and hardships, for giving reliance and support to the people, the destitute, orphans, the helpless, and the aged. Matthias practiced farming from his parents and grew up playing with his siblings Kurian, Thoman, along with his only sister Anna. According to the Christian faith and traditions of the Syrian culture, Matthias' parents taught their children the lessons of siding with the truth and goodness, following the discernment of good and evil. His parents taught him the letters and meaning of showing compassion, but the fate turned against them in the form of poverty and other financial constraints due to his father's fall from a tree, which made him seriously wounded and bedridden for a long time. His father made arrangements for sending him to the school run by the church at Thanoli, and thus get completed the education appropriate to that time. He also started learning Syriac language there itself as the first step of entering to the seminary life. Having taken the decision to face the challenges in life with patience, perseverance, and courage, Matthias could soon realize that he was involved in Meilus Schisma, and soon he returned home. And in the year 1896, as per the advice of His Excellency Mar Carlos Levine, he joined Manana Seminary, depending on God's providence, to pursue his seminary studies. He completed his seminary studies and got ordained a priest on the 11th February 1901 by the laying of hands by His Excellency Makil Mar Matthias Bishop, the Vicar Apostolic of Changanasheri, and offered his first Holy Mass in the Ashram Chapel at Mananam. The golden year of his spiritual life began soon after his ordination, when he was appointed to help the vicar and assistant vicars of the main parish church at Pala for 2 years. There, he came into contact with two spiritual legends by name Reverend Father Ausep Podimatadil and Reverend Father Ausep Nechikat, and under their guidance, he was ignited 100 times with the zeal of devotion and the spirit of prayer. The former was his spiritual mentor, and the latter became his close friend. Both of them were persons with vast experience and were leading the retired life and enjoying their old age while being in the main church at Pala. It was the time when the devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus was being spread in Kerala. The continued presence and guidance of these two priests have enkindled in him the love for Sacred Heart in his mind. He could materialize the budding devotion to the Sacred Heart when he was appointed the parish priest at Karur Church in 1903. In order to spread the devotion to the Sacred Heart in his parish, he organized a group of devotees called Thiruhridaya Sakhyam, the Alliance of Sacred Heart, and then he dedicated all the families in his parish to the Sacred Heart of Jesus by conducting Thiruhridaya Pradishta in each and every family in his parish, and thus he blessed the place by giving prominence to the Sacred Heart. Through the proclamation of the Word of God, he turned out the human minds towards prayer, and then to retreats, and finally enabled them to be closer to the Sacred Heart. When Father Mathai left the parish, the credit goes to him not only for constructing a church, but also establishing the tents of goodness in the minds of all the families in his parish. When he was appointed parish priest at Lalem Church, the spreading of the devotion to the Sacred Heart had become the vow of his life. Remission of sins through the act of reconciliation, happiness through compassion, and peace of mind through the Sacred Heart were the teachings of Christ he imparted to all his faithful. It was an era due to socio-economic and political policies and the evil traditions of caste, creed, and class. Education, even to boys, was denied, and girls even could not think of following the use of letters except the spoken language they exchanged in the backyards of their kitchen. Father Mathai took a drastic step to open a school for the girls in the name of the Blessed Virgin Mary. When he came back to Lalem Church again for parish service, he proved through his words and deeds that it's not only the pulpits and confessionals that would radiate the infinite wisdom of his, but also education and self-esteem as the Christian faith upholds. The knowledge that spiritual poverty and material poverty would lead human beings to the animalistic tendencies made him to reach the poor tribal huts, to free them from their ignorance, and to create in them an independent thirst for knowledge. He made an attempt to convince the tribal people that the educational facilities were arranged for the girls who were pushed aside to the backyards of the society could also be sent to schools. He started a Malayalam medium school at Kannadiyurumbu in 1918. He started this Malayalam school up to 3rd standard in the beginning, especially to educate the tribal girls, and afterwards it was upgraded to 5th standard. Due to government's interference, it was shifted to Lalem, and that was the beginning of the most famous St. Mary's High School at Pala, which is known well all over Kerala. having felt pity for the people who are helpless, orphans, widows, the aged and the destitute, who are helpless in the society as well as in the families. It was during this period that an idea came into his mind that was set apart for the social upliftment to form a new religious society to reveal the love of the Sacred Heart to all. If we want to open the doors of compassion of the Sacred Heart to a society consists of the helpless, the poor, and the destitute, and the human race as a whole, and he realized that they also have the right to the greatness of vocation, though they are deprived of higher education or have nothing to pay as patrimony. Thus, a women religious society that could keep the Sacred Heart in human hearts was born. The Sacred Heart Congregation in a small house at Nellikakunnel Homestead in the main parish church at Pala on the 1st of January 1911. On the first day, 4 women joined the group and they were Pulikal Theresia, Pudupparambil Brigitta, Puttanikal Rosa, Tekkemuriel Eli, and they are the first members of the congregation. The following days, 6 more women joined the group and they were Vellapaniyil Eli, Chettalil Anna, Kunnayil Anna, Cherutottathil Theresia, Thalathe Thayil Eli, and Tharakunnel Mariam. As per the guidelines given by Father Mathai, these 10 women started a community life. As they did not receive any patrimony, they found their livelihood by begging alms, by working in the agricultural farm, by getting trained in handworks, beading the rosaries, and making scapulars, by doing embroidery and other stitching works. The income thus they collected was used for giving protection to the orphan children, widows, and aged people who were under their protection. In 1914, an orphanage was opened with more facilities. The destitute from all religions were accommodated in this orphanage that had a lot of calumnies. Father Mathai and the first members of the congregation had to suffer a lot of misunderstanding, slanders, and rumors due to the opening of this new orphanage. The untiring and restless life of constructing new school buildings, orphanages, old age homes, and parish works made him a patient of acute rheumatism. While keeping his deep faith in the crucified Jesus and his resurrection, in 1930 he took a rare vow that in the next Lenten season, on 7 consecutive Fridays, he would perform the way of the cross to Pamburanpara, a place nearby. He got a miraculous healing and he immediately fulfilled his vow. Now, this Pamburanpara shrine has become a pilgrim center under Kavikunna Church. During Lenten season, many visit this pilgrim center conducting the way of the cross and getting healed from their diseases. As a part of priestly life, while getting transfers from Kadur Church to Lalam Church and from there to Pala Main Church and from there again to Lalam Church, from there to Kannadi Urumbu Church, he continued his tireless effort to give a separate identity to his newly established religious organization, and after undergoing a lot of trials and tribulations, on the 24th of June 1931, he could succeed in giving a separate identity to his religious community by getting religious dress code of its own and a constitution to govern them, because till that time this new group was growing as a part of the Clarist congregation. It was the advice of the founder father to his new disciples to learn the lessons shown and taught by Jesus from the stable to Mount Golgotha. After getting the separate identity to this congregation, his next attempt was to get the canonical approval from the Holy See to this newly formed religious society, while involving himself in pastoral work and prayer. From April 1935, he realized that darkness is getting spread on the path of his life journey and is getting closer to his last days. On the 23rd of May 1935, at 3 o'clock in the morning, Father Mattei, who tried to keep Sacred Heart in his heart while entrusting his own heart forever in the Sacred Heart of the Lord Jesus, his soul went away to its eternal abode to place his heart in the heart of Jesus. It is something amazing to note that His Holiness Pope Pius XI gave canonical recognition to the newly prepared constitution for the new congregation founded by Father Mattei on the same day and the same time when he took his last breath. The daughters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus fondly cherish in their heart and consider this as a revelation of the divine plan of God and a testimonial of His holy life. Besides Pala and Changanasheri, the religious congregation founded by Father Mattei Kathalikatil was spread in other dioceses like Kodamangalam in 1938 and Thalassery in 1955. Now, this congregation has flourished in all over India, having 11 provinces and 1 region. This congregation continues its glorious journey in Kerala, India and abroad, having 4,250 sisters and 500 convents, besides many institutions rendering their service in India and all over the world. In 1974, all these provinces were put under the control of one superior general, and on the 15th of August 1976, this new congregation was declared a pontifical congregation under the direct ruling of the Holy Father. These sisters gave themselves to varied and novel apostolic activities like running hospitals, vocational training centers, educational institutions, centers for social work, centers for counseling, media centers, etc., giving consolation and filling hope in thousands of people. A society in every age which considers that the life history of ordinary people has no relevance at all, the persons who took initiation to bring changes in the society appeared in this world voiceless. The cry of the people who are ignored is heard in every age. The poor who struggle hard is called human. His cry is heard in every nation. Father Mattei, an ardent devotee of the Sacred Heart and a servant of the Sacred Heart, founded a religious community which acknowledges and recognizes that whatever be the languages, the language of the cry heard everywhere is the same. God worked wonders and miracles always through persons whom the world considers insignificant or unimportant. They are born unnoticed, brought up as ordinary human beings, lived voiceless, and disappeared in the infinity, and their fate always is to remain unknown. Among crores of saints who are born and brought up without the knowledge of anybody, lived and died doing good things, and our beloved founder, Father Matthias, is one among them. On the 12th of November 1989, Father Matthias was raised to the status of the servant of God, and on the 27th of June 2011, he was raised to the position of the Venerable. The age is not far when Father Matthias will be raised to the position of sainthood, when he will be honored in the altar of the Lord after testing the holiness of his life. Miraculous healings, successful experiences which are considered impossible, and divine visions that have reached him till the status of the Venerable. Then there will be a story to be inscribed in golden letters. It is the history, the one who kept the Sacred Heart in his own heart, and entrusting his own heart to be kept in the Sacred Heart, and gave a due to the world, is a person worth, and his name is the Venerable Father Matthew Kathalikattil, the one who has kept and lost himself in the vast ocean of the love and compassion of the Sacred Heart of Jesus.